Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines. Palestinians have condemned Israel's push to annex parts of the West Bank, calling it an act of aggression and a violation of international law. The Israeli parliament narrowly voted in favour of applying Israeli law to all settlements in the West Bank. The US also voiced concern. Israel has now frozen the annexation bills, following growing criticism. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio says any international security force in Gaza must include countries Israel is comfortable with. Speaking during his visit to Israel, Rubio said Hamas will have no role in Gaza's future governance, while discussions on a possible role for the Palestinian Authority are still ongoing. His visit follows Vice President J.D. Vance's trip, aimed at advancing President Trump's Gaza peace plan. President Donald Trump has terminated all trade talks with Canada after what he called a fraudulent advertisement using former President Ronald Reagan's image to criticize trade tariffs. In a post on Truth Social, he accused Canada of trying to illegally influence the US Supreme Court ahead of a ruling on his global tariffs. On the other hand, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says Ottawa is ready to resume trade talks with Washington whenever the US is prepared. Speaking before leaving for Malaysia, Carney said Canada will keep exploring new partnerships, especially in Asia's growing markets. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump is set to embark on a 5-day Asia trip, aiming to secure a breakthrough trade deal with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The visit, covering Malaysia, Japan and South Korea, comes as tensions persist over tariffs and stalled negotiations. Trump is expected to use the meeting with Xi as a key test of his deal-making credentials, while balancing ongoing global conflicts and economic uncertainty. Britain's King Charles and Prime Minister Keir Starmer have welcomed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ahead of the Coalition of the Willing meeting in London. King Charles, who met Zelensky at Windsor Castle, has frequently expressed his support for Ukraine. The UK is now urging allies to reach a deal on using frozen Russian assets to support Ukraine. Talking to Starmer, Zelensky said that President Putin shows no sign of ending the war as Russia steps up attacks on Ukraine's energy grid before winter. Meanwhile, the US Senate has rejected a Republican bill that sought to pay military and essential federal workers during the ongoing government shutdown, which is in its 4th week. The vote was 54 to 45. As the shutdown continues, air traffic controllers and security staff are working without pay, causing major flight delays and airport closures. Russian President Vladimir Putin has convened a meeting of the National Security Council to discuss ways to strengthen the fight against terrorism. Opening the session, Putin called for enhanced measures and improved methods to prevent hostile acts. Russia's Federal Security Service head, Alexander Bortnikov, also briefed the meeting on new security strategies and ongoing counter-terror efforts. Separately, President Putin has called the new US sanctions on Russian oil companies an unfriendly act that harms the recent recovery in bilateral ties. Speaking to reporters, Putin said the proposed leaders' meeting in Budapest was suggested by Washington, but must be carefully prepared. He added that while the sanctions may have some impact, Russia will not bow to pressure and remains committed to dialogue over confrontation. At least 14 people have drowned after a rubber boat carrying migrants sank off Turkey's southwestern province of Mughla. Authorities say the vessel went down near Bodrum just minutes after departing, with 18 people reportedly on board. 2 survivors have been rescued, including an Afghan national who swam for 6 hours to reach shore, while search operations continue for the missing. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.